I got a question for you. Do we have too many schools that are FBS level? I mean, seriously, the Division One FBS, the creme de la creme, the national champion that people actually care about. Yes, I care about if, the idea of San Diego State, or San Diego State, South Dakota State, there we go. No, this is not AI, in case you can't tell. But okay, I pay attention to FCS level schools when it comes to national championships. Actually, I'm interested in some of the things that goes on that level. When it comes to basketball, FCS plays FBS schools. It's all one big happy thing. But here's the thing. When you take a look at some of these athletic programs that happen, you have to wonder, why are some of these schools in FBS level? I mean, seriously, I just did some things dealing with Kent State. I'm looking at their program, and it's like, since 1975, Kent State's only had 10 winning seasons. 1975 was when they joined the FBS level. So why are they still playing on this level? I mean, it really doesn't seem to be good for them. They're losing. I mean, they're pretty much not making, even breaking even with what their budget is. So why are these schools doing this to themselves? So let's talk about this a little bit.
Hey folks, this is Paul with Redneck Sports. I want to thank you for viewing my video, and I want to give you one thought process. There was a famous coach at the University of Tennessee by the name of General Robert Nealon. He had 6 maxims, but number 2 maxim is what everybody should apply to their life. Play for and make the breaks. When one comes your way, score. That's how to live your life right there.
Okay, so when we're taking a look at this, let's look at this from some standards. One, athletes have become mercenaries. College football players, especially, are mercenaries. And very few of these athletes that go to these schools anymore, that on the football side of things, actually care about the school that they go to. They care about the paycheck. And on top of that, they're getting themselves scammed by these people claiming to be agents anyway. And so they're already giving bad advice. And these kids are barely getting any development. I mean, they're basically arresting their development because they don't actually follow through. So that's the first thing that hurts these lower end programs. They were already hurting for athletes, and then they're get starting to get hurt because of, even when they do get a good athlete, somebody comes along that offers them money that, you know, as much as the entire football program is for whatever school they're attending in the group of five. Then you take a look at what these schools can actually offer their coaches. I was looking at Kent State's program the other day, and their head coach that they just fired was fired not because of very bad winning conditions, but because he couldn't afford to actually pay his bills. This isn't Nick Saban's of the world. This is whoever they can get at whatever time. They don't even have a head coach at that school. They have an interim head coach. This is a problem. They can't even pay their coaches enough so that they don't get into trouble financially. And that's a problem because that means they're getting the lower end of the coaching scale. They're basically teams to get beat up when it comes to who they're playing. That's a bad thing. And a third thing to consider is as you have the power two conferences, SEC, Big Ten. Then you have Big 12 and ACC that fall just under them, but they're still considered power conferences. And then you have the group of five. So you've got whoever's in the SEC and Big Ten. They've basically scooped up some of the biggest names in college football. Not the only big names in college football, don't get me wrong, but some of the biggest, or most of the biggest names in college football. Big Ten's at 18 schools. Why they're at 18 schools is beyond me, but they're at 18 schools, and the SEC is at 16. Okay, 16 somewhat manageable, I'll give them that, but seriously, these conferences are too big. Actually, I think 16 is too big too. You have the Big 12, you have the ACC, and you see those four conferences are, you comment all the time about the ACC, you comment all the time about the SEC. You've got somebody, well, that doesn't leave a lot to be desired as to what can be shown when it comes to the AAC or the MAC conference, Mid American Conference, or the Mountain West. But they've still got good schools in them, but they're having to compete with these big time guys. Not to mention, it's gotten so much now that people think that they can get to that higher level that you've got Memphis offering to pay money to get into a conference. This is not how you operate. No, this is not how you should be operating college football right now. Football was supposed to be a way to just advertise your school. When schools win and get their names in the papers, more students want to go there. Woohoo! Big deal. Yes. But now it's gotten to the point where they're basically the NCAA is just a version of the NFL with different football offensive schemes. Seriously. That's the only good thing about the NCAA when it comes to college football is you get to see different types of plays. You get to see far more triple options. You get to see shotguns. You get to see single wing. Yes, I've actually seen single wing. But these smaller schools are getting further and further behind. For every Navy, Army, great seasons, you have the Tulsas and the Akrons and the Kent States of the world that are not doing so great. There, you've got schools that continuously fall behind. Okay, yes, Vandy, when it comes to college football, yeah, they rarely ever have a winning season. They rarely ever get to play in a bowl game. But they've got a long storied history where they used to be able to do that. It's been a long time, but they used to be able to do that. But they've fallen out of relevance. But at least they've got the history there. It's not like there's Sewanee School of the South where, you know, they used to have a history of it, but they decided to focus on something else, which I applaud them for. But it still makes you wonder, why are you wanting to put yourselves through this? And it comes out to the fact that most of these schools think that this is a great way to make money. When you're paying so little out that that money isn't really being there for anything. So why shouldn't these schools consider moving down to say the FCS level? Well, or they could even get rid of their football program. Think about that for a second. They might be able to get rid of their football program unless they're just using it as a way to make money, and they're making so much money being the punching bag of the rest of the schools that it really does. It makes you wonder, like UMass. What is UMass doing coming up to the FBS level? Yes, they were there. They went down. UMass needs to get out of it. They need to go back down to the FCS level. You've got Delaware, who has a winning history, by the way. So it's not like that they don't have a winning history, but Delaware, okay, cool. They should be able to handle it. But Kent State, Sacramento State's moving up. They don't even have a winning tradition. You take a look at these schools like Fresno State or, Nevada doesn't have that winning of a program. Yes, they've won seasons here and there, but you take a look at these schools and you go, why are they on the FCS level or FBS level when they could be down at the FCS level, maybe doing a little bit better, or even dropping down below that? What is the use of it? You tell me. Seriously, it doesn't make sense. These kids are getting hurt, like a school that I was just talking about that lost both their starting quarterback and their backup quarterback in the exact same game. QB1, QB2 going out in the same game, that's a bad thing. And that shows that your school's not ready to play, but they're still playing. I did all of this ranting for the simple fact of people need to start figuring out, you know, you have these schools show up, and it makes no sense at the level of football that they're at. MAC football is exceedingly popular. I don't want the MAC conference to go away. I don't want the SEC to go away. I don't want the Big 12 to go away. But here's the problem. We've got so many of these schools that don't belong at the level of football that they're playing that it produces a crappy product that nobody wants to watch. How many of you want to watch Akron play Kent State? How many of you want to see Fresno State play Nevada? Seriously. Other than if you're a fan of the schools, what is the use of having that game on? Truthfully, think about that to yourself. Unless you're a fan of the school, what is the use? This isn't Tennessee that's won multiple national championships, that's had a couple of players that should have won the Heisman, but it was stolen from them. This isn't that kind of program. Other than producing some great coaches, Kent State hasn't done anything. Akron doesn't do anything. Temple really doesn't do much of anything on the FBS level. So these schools that are so bad, why are they still in the FBS? Tulsa, seriously. Tulsa's a great place to go, I'm sure, but what does it produce by them having a Division 1 FBS level school? Seriously, what does that accomplish? Think about that when you're playing this. And maybe we need to get that conversation started so that we can start clearing out the chances for so many mercenary athletes so that they actually consider, hey, maybe I need to start, acting like an adult and showing loyalty. Or how about we not have coach? or players getting hurt or coaches having to coach against some of the best in the world at football, but they're getting paid so little that they can't even pay their bills. How about we end those kinds of programs? Let's get that out of the FBS level. Let's get schools actually playing at the level that they can be competitive in instead of being something that they shouldn't be. Or for that matter, how about some of these schools just get rid of their college football programs and not be something that is making them look bad and making and just being a way to fundraise at a seriously hilarious level of stupidity. But you tell me what you think. This has been Paul with Redneck Sports. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.
I want to thank you for watching my video. And if you like what you saw, like, subscribe, and comment. Y'all have a good day now.